Alright, hey guys, so it's Aiden here, and I am going to be making this video on relationships and how to handle them. And basically, um, in transition wise, it's really kind of complicated to handle a relationship, um, especially if you are new to transitioning. Like, if you are just now starting transition and you come out to, your significant other, um, and you've been dating for a very short time period or for a while, it's still going to be very complicated no matter how long you've been dating that person. Um, as far as I know, I've been in both situations where I came out during a relationship, um, and then had to explain. And I've also came out to a entirely new person when I started, having to date them, or being in a relationship. It's not always easy. The best thing to do is to just be straightforward. Tell them, you know, I want to be called this even though my birth name is this. And I like to be called, you know, whatever your preferences are. If you're gender fluid or you um, don't really care about, like, pronouns and stuff, that's fine. For me personally, I kind of basically had to tell them, I'm Aiden. I want to go by male pronouns like he, him, his. You know, I'm male, and that's how I want you to see me. Um, most of my dating did happen before I started testosterone because I am only a week shy. I'm a week shy of 3 months on testosterone. So I'm 2 months, 1 week, and 1 day on testosterone as of today. So you know, um, so I mean, like, I've been in a relationship since starting testosterone. I'm now, you know, out of a relationship right now. We're just friends. So, um, I'm not interested in dating anyone at this time, but, if I was going to date somebody, this is how I would approach it, how I would approach it, because it is a tricky situation, and it is a completely different game when you're pre-transition and when you are, or pre-testosterone, sorry, excuse me, when you're pre-testosterone and then when you start testosterone. Mainly because at almost 3 months right now, I have a deep voice and I have, hair growing in down here, and, I appear male. And then, if you're going to date somebody, you need to be upfront with them, because if you're not and they find out later and then they're like, okay, well, I'm not okay with this, I don't want to date you anymore, even though I love you, I don't want to date you, this is, wrong, whatever, and then they leave you, that can be detrimental to your mental health and your emotional health. So you need to be upfront with these people. Like, if you want to be in a open, kind, caring, stable relationship, you need to be open with them. So my best advice is, when you find somebody you're attracted to, you start talking to them, and you're like, hey, I like you. You need to tell them at that point, I like you a lot. you don't have to out yourself to every single person in the world, but you need to make sure that like you tell them at some point before you get in too deep with them. Like, if you start dating and then like 7 months down the road you decide, oh, hey, I'm ready for, sex or whatever, and then you go to have, a physical relationship one night and then you're found out or whatever, like I don't feel like I could conceal my body that well for that long, like if they were to hug me, they'd feel my binder because I haven't had top surgery. So I mean, like, there are things that you clearly can and can't hide in a relationship, being pre and on testosterone. And I will put it this way simply: it is hard, I mean, to date in general when you're going through transition and when you're pre-transition as well. Neither of them make dating any easier. From my experience so far, it has made it harder for me right now because the world perceives me as male, and yet I don't have the anatomy. Okay, let me put it in this perspective. Straight women won't want to date me because I don't have the right anatomy that they are, attracted to or that they want in a physical relationship with a man. Yeah, I may offer everything else, but I don't have the anatomy that they're comfortable with, so therefore it probably won't work. But on the other hand, gay women or lesbians or whatever won't want to date me because I appear male, and they are not comfortable with that. More than likely, they won't be. More than likely, and so if they are not comfortable with that, then it still will not work. So you have to be upfront. You have to make sure that that person is going to be okay with you. The best people to fall in love with are the people that don't care. That can say, I don't care what's in your pants, or what you have or what you don't have. That's not what makes you you. That's not what makes you a man. That I love you for you. That is the best person to be in a relationship with. And if you can't find that, um, I would move on to the next person, because just don't put yourself in too deep with somebody who really doesn't care for you the way that you should be cared about. Emotionally, right now, I have a lot of things that I gotta work through. I don't know what I'm attracted to sometimes because, I'm finding that a lot of things have changed on testosterone. My viewpoints, things that I did and didn't like before, I now am kind of confused about. And, that's something that you have to come to terms with when you're transitioning. My best advice is to just be open, be honest, be clear about what you want and what you don't want. And never feel like you have to settle for somebody just because you don't want to be alone. Never feel that way, because sometimes being alone will come with more satisfaction in transitioning than having somebody by your side all the time. Yes, love is great, it's grand, it's happy, it's whatever you want it to be, but it can bring a lot of things to the plate that you may not want to deal with when you're transitioning, and you have to realize that there's another person involved, and you have to think about them just as much as you. So that's really all that I have in advice for like dating and relationships pre-testosterone, and now being on testosterone for almost 3 months. It's a whole different ball game that I can't tell you how to date. I can just say that you need to be upfront. I mean, it's okay for a little while to pretend until you really can tell if you like that person. And then once you figure out, hey, I have feelings for this person, you should probably let them know, somebody's calling me and I'm going to let it go to voicemail. Sorry for that, buzzing sound. But anyways, as far as, relationships go, don't ever feel like you have to, be in a relationship with somebody just because you don't want to be alone. Being alone sometimes better. And never settle for love that you don't deserve either. If you're going to transition and you want to be loved a certain way and that person doesn't no longer thinks of you that way, you need to get out of that relationship. If you're not comfortable with the relationship, you need to take a break, figure out, who you are, what you're doing with yourself, and how you feel about yourself before you continue. That's all I can tell you. And just make sure that you're upfront with people. That's the best thing to do. So, as far as me, with relationships, right now, I got out of a relationship, so, I can't give advice like my relationship personally, but, it's hard. It always will be hard. Never go into transit. Never think that just because you get on testosterone and then you get chest surgery and then you get bottom surgery, will it make it any less hard? Never think that the physical transition is going to make it less hard, because it's going to create, the minute that you decide to do something, it's going to create a new situation that you'll have to deal with. The cause and effect thing comes into play right here pretty much, because me taking testosterone, I appear male to everyone, but I don't have male anatomy, so then, I have to be upfront with people, because if I'm not, they're going to assume that I'm male, and then, I'll be rejected. And, nobody likes rejection. So, you need to be upfront before you start developing real attachment feelings and, hey, I love this person, don't fall in love with somebody and then, get your heart ripped out. That's the worst thing to do. You don't need that. So, best thing to do for yourself and for them is to not lead them on, and to think that, you're something that they want. If they're okay with it and they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't bother me, then continue your relationship by all means. But, don't let them think that you have, a 13-inch dick, when in reality you don't have a dick at all. Just don't play somebody else's feelings for your feelings, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't want to put people down, and make people assume that, I'm an asshole by telling them to be upfront and to out themselves. No. I just, with personally, transitioning, I'm on testosterone. And, I have a choice to tell people whether I'm, trans or not. And there are situations that you have to out yourself, and there are situations that you can clearly can avoid, but, as far as dating goes, you have to be upfront. You have to be. Otherwise you're gonna get rejected quite a bit, and it's going to hurt, and you're going to feel lost and like you don't fit in, and the transition isn't ever right for you, and you're going to feel bad all the time because of that rejection that you get. And rejection hurts no matter, what orientation or who you are, or race or sex or gender or anything. It hurts to be rejected by anyone. So never feel like, you have to out yourself. Just make sure that person is okay with who you are first before you continue a relationship. Alright, this is getting long, so. Alright, so this is Aiden. I'm Saturday, dude. And, this is my advice on relationships and dating and all that junk. So, questions, comments, concerns, post them below. Send what's the word? Crap. An inbox to this channel or to my personal channel, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So, peace.